Hi everyone, and thanks for having me today. I'm Alex, as you've heard, and I'm a partner at Founders VC. We've invested into DeFi, RWA infrastructure, and AI, and we also provide liquidity. So the goal of this presentation is to tell you a bit more on how to attract the liquidity in the current market conditions, because we've talked with the dozens of LPs, market makers, hedge funds, and other partners in the market who provide the liquidity, and prepared all of this presentation just to show on how to have better protocols in the market with a good liquidity program. So it's a win-win situation for both. So I will tell you more about how to set the right API, how to structure the program, how to attract liquidity, and what are the most important mistakes you can avoid. So let's start from the reality on the ground, and the TVL per protocol is decreasing. That's due to an amount of factors. There are a lot of money inflows in the market, but the number of DeFi builders is more, and the number of new good protocols, is also increasing faster. So the good news are that if you know how to structure the offer, how to set the right API and manage risk, you can still stand out. So let's talk about the first difference. It's the LPs versus VCs. A lot of founders are trying to pitch the LP the same way they do it with the VC. But there is a difference because LPs are deploying the capital today in the protocol you have right now. So they're focusing more on the safety of the protocol, and the question is if you will be able to generate the yields when the TGE. And so the main reason and where should you focus on is to where to put the money today and how to answer this question to LPs. So make sure your LP pitch is clear, grounded, and focus on how you manage the money today and how you will show the returns they expect in the future. You also need to understand from the end and to plan from the end, and to define the launch dates for private, public, and TG, because for sure you probably will raise one or two more VC rounds, and you want to do it then your TVL is growing, then you have new partnerships every week, let's say, and not then your liquidity program is ending and liquidity providers are turning back their liquidity. So when you understand your timeline, your TG, you can determine the required volume needed for getting visible. Usually it's around 50 to 100 million in TVL to get noticeable for a private round. And for public, it's at least as much as the same. Let's say if you want to raise 100 in private, you should target at least 100, 150 in public. And after that, you should define LP tiers and terms for different TVL. I will tell you a bit more about how to build the tiers, but let's talk about the benchmarks. For sure, if you have the best protocol in the market with a great founding team, but you can only give 5% API on stablecoins, they will not gonna deploy the liquidity into your protocol. So the current benchmarks are around the 25-35% for stablecoins, 50 to 20% for Ethereum, and 10 to 15% in Bitcoin. For sure, the market is fluctuating, they can be different, but you can always check the Pendle, let's say, and multiply the average amount, average API on Pendle by 3, and it will be the target you want to reach. Let's talk about the tiers as well. So the idea is you need to have different tiers, different tier levels for different LPs. And it all depends on the current market stage, because for sure, if you are just starting raising the liquidity, the risks are higher for the liquidity provider. They're not sure if you will be able to get to TG. They're not sure about if you will be able to raise at least the public LP round. So you need to reward them for that. So the good point to start is to have 35% API for the first 5 million, 30% for the next 5, then let's say 25% for the next 15 million, and so on and so forth. So practically, that means that you need to have every following dollar cheaper than the last one, because that's how you make your program sustainable in the long term. Now let's talk about how to build the API, because your API is usually based on the fixed rate and the tokens and point system. So the good point to start is to have 1/3 in a fixed rate and 2/3 in tokens and points. So the higher, for sure, you can have fixed rate, the better, but it should depends on your yield that your protocol is generating. So just to let you know, your fixed rate reassures LPs they get paid even if your token underperforms, and it's your marketing tool, but it should depends on your tokenomics, on your product, on your yield revenue. The next thing is good to understand is that for LPs are not hedge funds, they are not market makers, they are not VCs. Even if they have some arm that invests, or let's say have market makers, the risk reward in liquidity providing is different. So the focus is more on hedging the risks, because the main risk is to lose all the money due to protocol vulnerabilities. And the second thing is to have a stable API, at least better than the market conditions. Because the bad thing, if they, let's say, will receive 10% API after locking the liquidity for a long time, then they can get and pendle, let's say, 15%. So you need to understand and provide the guarantee yield if you're able to, because around 20% of the protocols on the market can provide guarantee yield. You can do it both ways. Let's say you are setting the API at 25% and selling all the tokens on your side. In this case, you are able to manage the selling pressure because you are just returning the money to the investor, returning the yield, and using the upside for yourself. The second thing, you can have a, let's say, fixed rate 15%, but to have guarantee rate at least at 20%. So, for example, if your token underperforms, you will still need to sell more tokens to generate the yield for the LP until 20%. So, if you can guarantee the API, do it, because this will help you to be ahead of the list on the investor, on the LP's pipelines. Now let's talk about also points and tokens, and it's also bread and butter of competitive API. And here I would like to mention the vesting, the structure, and selling pressure. So in terms of vesting, you should target less than 6 months, because the best terms is 1 to 3 months vesting, and the 3 to 6 is still okay. And it's due to the fact that LPs deposit large amounts of money early, and they should be rewarded for this, because the unlock should be better than VCs. And as for the structure, you for sure need to structure it correctly based on your tokenomics. So you need to decide what are the number of tokens you want to see as a reward. Knowing the FDV, knowing the LP you want to attract, you can balance it correctly. And the next thing is selling pressure. You'll have it for sure, because LP's goal is to have and fix their API they earned. So in most cases, they will sell the tokens as they receive them. For sure, they can sell it on some local peaks, but they will not hold the tokens for a long time. So just be prepared and to be able to manage the pressure in the first 6 months. Now let's mention at least for a few slides about the points, because points, it's more like for a public program, but you need to manage it correctly. So even in cases like Eigenlayer, it can be hard to manage, because, for example, the users were really happy with their points program. They were farming it, bullish on these points, but then the points were converted to tokens. The community was unhappy with that, because whales claimed most of the rewards and tokens were non-transferable initially. So Eigenlayer needs to rethink of the terms they provided to improve the bonus system, to give some tokens additionally. And they still managed to make a huge TVL, and program, to be honest, was good in terms of liquidity providing, but it's good to know that even with the strong marketing, you can some of the community members will be unhappy with that. So there is no perfect system for that, and you need to balance in the incentives and balancing the expectations of the community. Now let's talk about the partnerships. It's another way to have a better API for liquidity providers or for the public. And let's say you can partner in two ways. It can be foundations, let's say. So you can go to the foundation and talk that you will help to increase the TVL of the chain, let's say. And it's a good way because you have the same goals. But just to let you know, foundations can be slow and bureaucratic in this case. And a few LPs and a few DeFi founders said that they can postpone or, let's say, to cancel the agreement on the last minute. So you can spend a couple of months and have nothing at the end. Another way is to find a similar protocol or similar product that can provide you their tokens. So their users will be happy to have the upside also. Probably this will attract you also the more people in your protocol and increase your incentives. So you can provide better API, as I said, for the liquidity providers. So let's talk about the due diligence checklist. It's mostly the same as for VC, but usually, yeah, LP checking differently. So first of all, it's security audit. Usually they are kind of expensive, so either LPs have some tech guys inside who can check the contracts, who can ask questions, etc., or at least it's a person who understands how to build the smart contracts and they can ask more questions, etc. So it's not worth to spend like a lot of money on great security audits, but LPs are still checking because the main risk is to lose all the money. As for the other things, usually LPs are checking it in a case of TG, and will they be able to get the tokens they're planning to receive. So if you can prove these points that your protocol is stable, well managed, so LP will much more likely to trust and deploy their liquidity. So let's talk also about the main risks. It's a custodial risk and OPSEC risk. And to be honest, OPSEC risk is usually underestimated. So as the project grows, the main risks are the people themselves. Because, for example, situation where a founder, let's say, can get kidnapped, to be honest, it's not so, it is more common than you think. And a few LPs said me these things, that operations is still important. For example, some processes can include like having everyday call with the founders to showing, okay, here's my key, here's my background. So yeah, probably it sounds funny, but as it is, when you have a 100 million in TVL, it can get really unexpectedly. Other common mistakes include different FDVs for VCs and LPs, and it can be a red flag. Let's say your last round was 30 million FDV for VCs, but you are showing the rewards for LPs at 250 million. So make sure your VC's expectation and LPs are the same. Let's say if you're planning to do a TG at 100 mil, show the same for LPs. Because for sure you can get upside, but in reality, 95% of protocols tokens are decreasing. So that's why LPs will do their math on their end. So you also need to have an option for LPs for sure to withdraw the liquidity. And probably if your contract is upgradable to have time locks, the LPs will ask for the roles to block the upgrades because yeah, it's all about their money. And yep, as I said, the 6+ months of vesting is not in the market right now. So yeah, just to be sure, if you can make it in 1 or 2 months is better, but around 3 to 6 is still okay. And get ready for the deal. It's more from operational side, but have your documents ready. It's a provision. TVL provision agreement or token warrant, because if you don't have it, you'll still need to prepare it and to sign with LPs, and you will spend much time later. As for CRM, it's also important because you need to manage all the terms of the deals, and if you have 100 million TVL, it's kind of tough because some of the terms will be different for different LPs, so just be prepared for this. Things can get messy really fast. And talking about increasing the liquidity, there are agents in the market as well, and there are two types of agents. It's buy side and sell side. So about 95% is a sell side, and their main job is just to connect you with the LPs, and they like take 1-2% from your TVL provided. But there is a buy side agents, and they work on the LP side, and they receive the money only, then they generate revenue for their LPs. So they can be pretty distinctive on the terms. They will push you for the better term for the LPs, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because they can help you to improve the project in general. They can help you to improve the protocol idea, tiers, etc. So it means for sure you will be more competitive in the market. So yeah, you should work definitely with the sell side and the buy side. And talking about key takeaways, if I want you to remember only two things, it will be the next. Like, LPs are usually asking themselves only two questions. Like, is it safe to put the money into this protocol today? And the second question is, will we be TGE successful in 6 months? So will I get as LP my API as expected? So if you can answer to this question yes, then your protocol has a strong chance of success. And that's the core of everything we've discussed today. For sure, like we are pretty short on time, so you can also check some tips for liquidity protocols which we haven't included here. And there are also market insights from Liquid, Cicada, Liquidity Land, AI Network, and Easy Capital, and others who helped us to prepare this presentation. And for sure, if you want to ask some question about the liquidity providing or to connect with the LPs or to discuss your program or just to discuss DeFi, just scan the code and write to me. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for having me.
Hey, big applause. Thank you, Aleksandr. Let's start the Q&A session. So we have a hand there, yeah.
Thank you very much. What's your opinion on the projects which are starting without any investments, like Hyperliquid, or even without tokens?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So usually, let's say, like from our LP side, we are usually not providing the liquidity to these protocols. It's kind of different LPs because there are a number of LPs who are looking for more yield. So you should balance it with a higher API on the start. That's still fine, but let's say VCs are also showing that they've done some due diligence on your team, etc. capabilities. But that's okay, yeah, you still can generate. But the problem is how you will generate the additional yield for them. I mean, if you are not planning to launch the tokens, I think you will be able to generate the market yield, let's say, I don't know, 10-15%. So where will be upside? That's the issue.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I have a question here.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is regarding the slide about external help. We have the sell side, we have the buy side. Can your project have help from both of these parties and fill the market with liquidity doing it? Or it is
Yes, sure. At first, we can connect, we can help you to improve the program in general. And we can connect you also with the, let's say, Liquidity Land. They also help to create the public program for you. So it's also important. So yeah, for sure we can help. So you can ask directly.
Thank you.
And any more questions? Okay, there's a. Thank you.
Evgeny, thank you for your presentation. I have a question how you collect money for your liquidity pool. Do you have any special program for investors to get money which you're planning to invest in the future project?
Are you asking from us as LPs?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we have, let's say we've collected the money from, let's say, the partners, the investors, and we have a pool that we are distributing in different liquidity providers. There are also different kind of things in the market. Let's say we have partners who are creating an SPV for every liquidity program. They're raising the liquidity from different investors and providers, and that put money into the protocol. But from our side, we have raised the money from the investors and just allocating them to the different protocols.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, maybe? Here is one. Here you go.
I don't know if you can share, but like, what is the average actual profit from a 30%, theoretical deal?
Actual profit right now, let's say in stable coins, it's around 20 to 25%.
But this is like for a theoretical 30% deal.
No. Yeah, with the theoretical 35, you will get around 20-25, let's say. We have also, let's say, kind of a familiar LP who is providing the liquidity in Ethereum. So they get between 50 to 20% in Ethereum, for, I guess, around $20 million. So it's manageable, but yeah, it depends on the kind of risk you get. It depends on the, how hard are you understanding the market, how many protocols you've checked, but yeah, the reality is around 20 to 25%.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then let's give a big applause to Aleksandr.